Hello, and welcome to episode 11 of Getting Your Class to Behave with me, Sue Cowley. So, following on from last time's session, where we were talking about managing your first meeting, we're now going to think about how you establish your expectations in that very first encounter with your learners. And as I said previously, essentially, this is about saying, here's the line. Please don't step over it. And if you do step over it, this is what's going to happen if you do. Now, if you are training at university or on the job, and you will have heard a million times about expectations, you're probably thinking, not again, not more talk about expectations. But actually, this is absolutely central to either your success or failure with the learners. And if you think about it, the reason it's so essential is because if you don't tell learners what it is that you need, then how are they supposed to behave in the way that you want them to? And a really great example of this is something that I've found over the last 20 or so years of presenting CPD, of training teachers myself. And I never used to set an expectation when I worked with teachers when I started out. And sometimes they used to misbehave. So there would be some low-level chat or there would be some off-task behaviours. And I thought, surely I don't have to tell them how to behave. But even as adults, we need to know where we stand. So I have started now, when I'm working with a room of 100, 200 teachers, at the very start, I set an expectation. And I say to them, there's only one thing I need today, but it's not going to be negotiated because it's absolutely central to making this work. And it is that while we're together in this room, I need there to be one voice. Some of the time it will be me, but a lot of the time it will be one of you addressing the group as a whole or you talking to each other in groups. And what I can then do is I can demonstrate how you reinforce these expectations. So let's say I've asked a question and one of the teachers has put their hand up and they're in the middle of giving an answer and somebody else in the room starts to talk to a neighbour. So what I demonstrate is that actually I can reinforce that expectation without embarrassing or shaming or doing anything like that. I simply say to the person who was answering the question, okay, just pause. Thank you. Because we're just going to remember that in this room today we have one voice. And at the moment, I need it to be your voice and I need your voice to be heard. And I don't need to identify who it was who was talking over their colleague. They literally get the picture and they allow their colleague's voice to be heard. And that's essentially why establishing your expectations up front is so important, because otherwise the only way people have got to find out is by messing around and seeing what you do. So in the book, I talk about the fact that expectations is not about giving your learners a list. It's not like Kim's game where you give them a long list and they have to remember everything. It's also really worth remembering that they have heard these expectations from the time they first started in a setting. So we set expectations in our setting and our children join us at 2. By the time they get to year 7 in secondary, they have had the expectations talk for 9 years. It's not that they don't know what you wanted them to do, it's that they're struggling to do it. And what they need is that vital clarity. And I talk about how these expectations that you set will vary according to the context and the phase you're working in, but that actually probably around 3 is a decent number to get started with. In early years or lower primary, it might be, we walk, we don't run, we use kind hands, we share. And really what you're doing is you're setting an atmosphere. You're not giving a list. A lot of primary teachers will establish a set of expectations with the class and sign up to them as a kind of charter. In secondary, there will be more of a tendency to say, these are the rules, these are the expectations, this is what I need you to do. But the way we phrase them can differ according to the age group. So let's say you're teaching A level. You might say something like, I just need to see respectful attitudes from everybody at all times. And they will have enough understanding to be able to manage that. Now, I also say in the book, particularly if you're a new teacher, Don't let it be the first time you have ever said your expectations out loud when you are stood in front of your first class, because at that point you will be really nervous. Your stomach will probably be roiling. You'll be tempted to either look underconfident, or you'll talk too fast and it'll all come out like a. So a really good idea is to practice ahead of time, either filming yourself like I'm doing now, or if you struggle with the idea of watching yourself on screen, you might ask a friend to listen to you. Was it clear? Did you understand what I meant? We will tend to over-verbalise, particularly when we're not that experienced. So, as I say in the book, use clear, specific statements. Describe the behaviour that you want to see. Discuss what you expect, not too many at once, but refer back to them. Don't just say them once and expect it to happen. You need to keep referring back. Drip feed your expectations. The first time you do group work or the first time you use resources, you can talk again about how you expect them to be used. Match your phrasing to the group, and most importantly of all, model what you are after. If I say I want one voice and I proceed to talk over the class, I have just told them that I didn't actually mean what I said. And it's that following through and having lots of different strategies to turn to when things aren't going as you'd hoped that really is the secret to getting your class to behave. I'm Sue Cowley. I hope you can join me next time for the next episode. See you then.